This is how we created our action-packed fantasy graphic novel series, Therion. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel so that we can get this story out to as many viewers as possible. Now, I've got some exciting news to announce. We're launching the Kickstarter campaign for our graphic novel series, Therion, on July 31st. I want to tell you the story of how we got here. Let's go back to 2016, where this project all began. The landscape and history of Mongolia had a massive influence on our early ideas for the story. So in 2016, equipped with our camera kit and palm cards, my brother Sam and I arrived in Mongolia's capital, Ulaanbaatar, with the original intention of writing an animated series. It was an imposing city, with its brutalist style apartment blocks and large power plants set against the backdrop of a lush green valley. We embraced Ulaanbaatar, visiting bars, cafes, museums, taking our scene cards with us to scribble down ideas for the story. Eventually, it was time to venture out of the big smoke, so we made our way to Tyrrells National Park and Lake Hofsgol. We were writing a road story where our characters were constantly on the move, visiting new places and pressed forward by a pursuing threat. The bus journey stages of our trip helped conjure up the spaces between the key locations of our story. Tyrrells National Park was a massive influence on these key locations. With its rolling green hills dotted with hulking rock formations, it was easy to imagine hideouts and shelters, places where our characters would rest. The valleys and cliffs conjured up epic imagery of lookouts and ambush locations. We spent 10 days in Lake Hofsgol, writing, cooking, swimming, and writing some more. It was here that ideas for our main character's homeland started to develop. The place had a majestic beauty and an ominous feel in the early hours of the morning when a thick layer of fog swept across the lake. We knew that it was here that our story would start and end. We returned home and continued working on the series. The trip helped lay the foundations for our world building and writing, marking the first of many steps in our journey that eventually led to the decision to pivot the animated series into a graphic novel. Fast forward to 2023, after working with plenty of awesome artists like Tim McBurney, El Nguyen, and Alexandra Coronaja on concept art and character design, we engaged Aussie artist Talia Pierce to help create this graphic novel. The main reasons for this change were so that we could get this story out there a lot faster and also retain creative control over really the entire project. In the animation industry, not that many shows get made without an existing audience or proof of concept already. A lot of animations are adaptations of video games, they're adaptations of comics, or even novels. If this does get an audience, we've got a great proof of concept to adapt this series into an animation. Adapting this story into a graphic novel was a fairly straightforward process. We already had our scripts and summaries for each episode written, as well as all of our character designs. Another massive benefit was that the character designs we had no longer needed to be limited by what was possible in an animation production pipeline, meaning that we didn't have to factor in how someone's clothing was going to be animated or how simple we should design someone's hair. Creatively, things really opened up, which really at the end of the day just benefits the story. So the day-to-day process of actually making the graphic novel involved me taking my script for each page and making a blueprint out of it. I would then pass that blueprint on to Talia, who would create a rough for each page before making a tidied version of each page. The next step after that was the inking phase. You may see some similarities to medieval and dark fantasy manga like Vinland Saga or Berserk. However, the storyline is very much influenced by fantasy novels that I've read by the likes of Joe Abercrombie and Steven Erickson's Malazan series. For the cover art, I obviously wanted to feature Unajin, our main character, but I also wanted to make sure the dark fantasy nature of this story was clear and that the transformation theme that's really important to this story was coming through. I came across the artist Ching Ye from Taiwan. I found his work on ArtStation. He had this beautiful art style of clean outlines, really detailed characters as well. Their faces were being morphed and stretched into skulls or some other creature. The backgrounds were really clean and it meant that the character was coming off the page, which for me, that was a clear indicator that I think this is the right guy for the job. Yeah, the cover art captures so much about the essence of this story. Really importantly, Unajin is popping off the page. The transition into the beast, to me that really shows a slow passage of time. Yeah, I just think it looks incredible, and this is the first print that we ever did of it. It actually has the old title of the series here, Therion Uprising. We've since changed it to Therion, which I think hits a bit harder. Can't wait to see it printed on the actual book itself. I think Ching Ye did an incredible job. We needed to make more promotional art for the series as well, especially a strong thumbnail that would live on the Kickstarter page for this project. Ching Ye recommended that we speak to Amy Chen. She is incredible at taking existing art styles and working with character designs that really are so strong and eye-catching. It was important to show more characters in the frame of this image because we wanted to give a bit more information on the world, the setting, and what readers might be in for in this story. The thumbnail looked incredible and Amy Chen absolutely nailed it. The Kickstarter launches on July 31st, where you'll be able to purchase issue 1. Plus our Therion hoodie, t-shirts, stickers, and more. Hit the link in the description to join the Kickstarter campaign for our graphic novel series, Therion.